Well, hello everybody, Kristy Glass here of Kristy Glass Knits with a crocheted finished object for you today. I have had my eye on this pattern for years, and I actually started it quite some time ago, but as is often the case with me, I get going on a project and then I get distracted either by a different assigned job or a different sweater or something, or I decide to have a crochet in May month, or I decide to have a month dedicated to men knitting. Whatever it is, I can get easily distracted. So this past summer of 2019, I decided to try and finish some pieces that were almost finished, and this is one of them. I actually was hoping to finish it for crochet in May. I did not finish it until August, and I just had to sit down and concentrate for a couple of nights, just sort of watching some shows and crocheting, and it was done. So this is called the Sherpa coat by Two of Wands, Alexi. She is one of the first designers that I interviewed here on Kristy Glass Knits. I will link to her interview underneath this video so that you can get to know her. She is a prolific designer. She designs all the things, and a lot of her patterns are very beginner friendly. And it's really about how she puts yarn together. I love her aesthetic so much. And I put my little Kristy Glass spin on her Sherpa coat because her Sherpa coat is done with a lot of natural colors, and I wanted just a little something extra in mine. So let me just show it to you. Here it is. I don't know if you can really appreciate it through the screen. It is kind of a fabulous piece, and I really love it. So let me just tell you about it. The structure of the coat itself is fairly straightforward. There are a few new to me stitches within the pattern. Actually, I think there might be 3 because 2 are heavily used in the sleeves and the collar, but as I was sort of blocking this with my iron, I noticed in the back there were stitches that I don't remember doing because it had been so long between doing the back piece and the front. Let me just see if I can point those out to you. See the pink and the brown row right there? There's something going on there that I believe is maybe a 3rd unique stitch that was new to me. It kind of looks a bit like a scalloping. It looks like maybe chaining and to make a scallop stitch. So there's the loop stitch, there's the scallop stitch, there's some bobbles in here, and all of it is really carefully laid out in the pattern. So not to worry, you will have the photo tutorials within the pattern. There is, I think, a small, medium, and a larger size to this. I did the small, and I felt a little nervous as I was making it that maybe it wasn't going to fit, but it fits exactly as I expected. It's just kind of a little bolero style jacket. At the end, I was wondering whether or not I needed the toggle buttons. So it lays nice and open like this, but the waistband kind of comes back a little bit. So I did opt to add some toggles. These are really thick toggles. I actually got them at Harrisville Designs in New Hampshire. The woman who works there said that she has a friend who works, I think, in a donation center, and she says whenever you get any toggles or buttons, send them my way and I will resell them for you. So these must have a story because these are these giant, awesome brown toggles. And instead of making loops on the side, when I want to toggle it closed, I just choose one of the loops from the stitches and I use that to loop the toggle. Maybe that's cheating, but I found it to be much easier. Let me tell you about how I decided to put these fibers together. As someone who attends a lot of yarn festivals and fairs and things like that, I'm often drawn to hand-spun wonders, I call them. So it's just maybe one skein of beautiful hand-spun yarn. And I have this awesome bag. This is from Matterroot. It's so big. I was so happy to find a project that was perfect for the giant size bag, because to make a jacket like this, you have to carry around a lot of different skeins so that you can just sort of pick when you feel moved to pick. So there's a few rules that I followed. One is I wanted the weights of the yarn to be as similar as possible There were a few that got a little extra chunky, and there were a few that weren't chunky enough. So for example, I had this vintage knit collage silk with paillettes that was given to me by Anella, and it was just too thin, so I ended up holding it double. In the end, I think it would have been better if maybe I had held it triple because it is silk. It's behaving fine in the jacket now that it's all finished, but I did think maybe that needed to be a little bit thicker. So I didn't do much swatching at all. I don't even remember if I swatched at all with this jacket, because when you're using all of these different weights and putting them together, it's kind of hard to get a consistent measurement. So like, why are you swatching if you're not gonna really measure it? So anyway, I gathered together all kinds of things. So I have this spin cycle, their bulkier weight right here that was left over from a hat that I had knit. I have this gorgeous hand spun creation that I got at Paige the Framers. Just one skein. A fellow knitter gave me some of this gorgeous mohair goat hand spun of hers, and she has a farm. I'm gonna type the name here because I don't want to say it wrong, but she had sent me this one skein, and I was saving it specifically for this jacket, and then very specifically for this collar, because I wanted it to be kind of the last row of this gorgeous natural wool hanging down. I thought it really brought in the essence of what was intended with this Sherpa coat pattern. I also put in a couple remnants from some knit collage projects. So I love knit collage yarn, and it is, I believe it is hand spun in India by real humans. So it totally counted as far as I was concerned with the hand spun aspect of what I wanted to include here. Not everything is totally hand spun, but that was the point of this project. I had some hand spun from Bunny Badger. I used the very tail end of this that I had put in a hat, and then also there was some from a skein right here. You probably can't tell, but I had gotten some at YarnCon as well. Put that in there. And then I had some very thicker natural fibers. So this I think was from EYF, and the name is escaping me now. Oh wait, here it is. Good, I have the label. This is number 5 from Garthenor, and it's the Black Welsh Mountain Organic Yarn Chunky. So this is the very dark brown, and then I had this gray from Hudson Valley Wool Company, as well as this pink. So these two could not be more different, but they both worked well in the piece. There's this blue sparkle yarn in here on this side from Alex Creates. He had hand spun that. So I just had a lot of fun taking all of these special one single skeins. Oh, this one's Sandpiper. Love this one too. I got this at the Long Island Festival a few summers ago. So beautiful. This is from Harrisville as well. So I had so much fun going through my stash, picking all of my beautiful treasures that were on the chunky, bulky side, and combining them into one piece. It brought me so much joy to do this, and I followed one rule, which was sort of a rule I learned about quilting. I'm not an expert quilter at all, but I attended a little workshop at the New York Public Library several summers ago about quilting, and we were making a postage stamp quilt, which is little squares that are about as big as a postage stamp, and one of the rules I learned was about contrasting your colors, and we talk about it in knitting all the time, especially when we're doing color work. Maybe you've heard me talk about taking a photo of something and then putting a black and white filter on it to see, is there contrast here? Can we tell they're two different colors in this photo? So I sort of followed that rule as I was picking which one would come next. So I'd have a dark and a light next to each other because I wanted it to have kind of a stripy look to it and an abstract sort of eclectic look to it, and I wanted it to have all the texture. So I really feel like I achieved that with this project. I ran out of several skeins, so I couldn't show you individually their remnants, and that was bringing me so much joy because I just want to bust my stash. And I love Alexi so much. Every time I have knit with her, been to a knit night with her, done an interview with her, she has such wonderful energy and she has some amazing patterns. So I'm going to link to everything about Alexi underneath this video, everything I can find, and hopefully you will enjoy seeing my little FO dance with my Sherpa coat. And I really highly recommend it for a nice winter project because it is crochet, so it goes a bit faster than maybe knitting, and because of the nature of this project, it's nice and warm and cozy to even have on your person. I was finishing this in August, which was a little bit crazy. I do think I skipped in working on it at the pool, but when I was in some air conditioning, I did pull it out and finish it up, and I was so happy to share it with you here today. Thank you so much for checking in to Kristy Glass Knits and Crochets, and I'll see you next time. Bye!